How much money to invest to become a millionaire? Well, that's up to you and how many millions you want to make. So to become a millionaire, it does not mean to have $1 million company. I have a lot of people, they're making, say, 1 million, but they're spending 900, they're 100,000-aire. So when we say millionaire, we're talking assets minus liability is your net worth. It's a pure millionaire, not growing $1 million company. That's different. So how much money do you need to invest to become a millionaire? A couple areas I want to talk about. Number one, diving deep into real estate. I'm a real estate millionaire. I love what I call the big five, which are big depreciating assets, which is real estate, aviation, gas and oil, mineral rights, water rights, like your biggest depreciation schedule against that income, which means you pay less in income tax, which means you have more money to invest, and then you become a millionaire faster. So how much money do you need to invest to become a millionaire? It depends on the asset. So diving deep into real estate is number one. Number two, and still up there as my probably number one and two, and I probably made the most money doing this, which is grow yourself a business. Be a business owner, grow a business. You all have amazing skills and talents. Would you please come share them with the world instead of hoard them and nobody knows that you're an expert at anything? The last thing I want to talk about is the importance of private lending, crowdfunding, and just other ways to go create more money for yourself to invest. So real estate, again, was a foundation for me. It could be a foundation for you. And the earlier you start, the better. So how much money does it take to become a millionaire? Depends on the kind of properties you buy. Right now, in this economy, to the post-COVID, you've got Airbnbs, you got short-term rentals, you have RV parks, you've got storage. I put all those in that same category. There's a lot of ways to do that. Outdoor storage is enormous. I have people maybe becoming millionaires and just selling, Connex containers and selling them as storage units or selling them as like just full sales. There are so many ways in real estate to become a millionaire. Tiny homes is up and coming. It is the thing that's going to just drive a lot of this nation. There's also in this economy, if you think about it, there's a lot of repurposing. So there's a lot of malls that are going down. There are strip malls that you see completely vacant. What could you do to repurpose them? What's needed? So again, this isn't about just finding a quick fix and jumping off so you can have a lifestyle. This is building an asset base intentionally. So how much money does it take to invest to become a millionaire? Well, I become a millionaire investing my time because I raised capital. I'm going to talk about that in my third point of how do you use private lending to do a lot of this so you can actually raise more money, put more money to work, and then you can move. As far as an exact dollar amount, it depends on the formula, depends on the market, depends on the zip code. That's hard to say because you could put, say $250,000 to work, how much money to invest. And then if you can actually Forex it, you're going to make $1 million. The biggest problem for a lot of you, regardless of the real estate, regardless of the investing, is the way you're making your money. You're being overtaxed to pieces because your structure is wrong. So there's a huge piece of number one in your real estate investing, and then inside the business, how you make the money. If you're not living corporate life, which in the description below, I'm going to give you 2 tickets to my Millionaire Intensive where I teach you to live corporate life. If you're not living corporate life, like fully, the right company's making the right money, the right company's paying for the right expenses, you're probably overpaying taxes. I'd say 95% of the people who enter our community come for a reduction in taxes because their CPA is just filing a return every April 15 and not actually paying attention to the strategy. How you make it, how you invest it is how fast you're going to become a millionaire. How much do you need to invest to become a millionaire? It depends on you. If you are about treasuries and CDs and mutual funds and bonds and those kind of things, I have no idea. It's going to take you forever, in my opinion, because then you're going to follow the long haul of a financial planner, which is in 2020, everybody in the financial planning space lost 30%. That were actually invested in the market. Huge market drop, biggest we've ever seen. And then again in 2022, we lost another 28%. So are you one of those people who just stay in, you want the most conservative, but you want the biggest result? So I don't believe in risk versus, reward and risk versus return. I think it's strategy and it's knowledge. And is there ever risk? There's just risk getting up in the morning. How about that? So let's put risk aside and say this is about leaning in and creating knowledge. So we are the knowledge community, which is I want you to lean in and start understanding this. Now I have Loral tell you what to do. You need to learn it. You learn it for you and your family. If you're really going to become a millionaire, how much money is it going to take to become a millionaire? I don't know. I've made $1 million in less than 90 minutes. So you could say, well, that was my millionaire move. Well, I also did real estate and I raised capital. So let's go to number 3. Actually, before we go to number 3, I want you here 5 days a week. This is a family-friendly channel and it's here for you and your family to learn. So we have learning journals. They're phenomenal. So if you haven't got one, go grab one. And they're literally designed, especially for the kids, to say, what video did you watch? What was the title of it? What'd you learn about? And then the biggest part is, what are you going to do about it? And then start bringing this conversation into the family, because you are not going to become a millionaire, or you're crazy if you are, to raise a bunch of trust fund babies. You're becoming a millionaire so you can create a legacy. And so many of you have brilliant, brilliant businesses, brilliant ideas, great patents, intellectual property, whatever you have. It's not protected right. You're overpaying taxes, and then your investing strategy is completely off. That's what I see 90% of the time. So as you go into investing, you got to say, well, how much is it going to take to become a millionaire? It depends on, again, what you invest. Real estate and business are my number one and number two. And how do you do it? Use some private lending. Other people's money, other people's credit. I have a lot of those videos here on the channel, so you can always go up to my search bar and put in other people's money, other people's credit. How do you actually arbitrage debt? How do you actually do this? By raising private capital. Now, number one, you take on a lot more responsibility, because it's not your money. And not only do you have to return back to them the money, they're expecting a return. If they're in a convertible debt structure, you're going to owe them probably 10, 12, 15%, depending on what the deal was you made. So a lot of this is how you buy into the business, buy into the real estate, and get into the lending situation. Whether it's even, can it be restructured? As say the debt or the financing, the private lending is due in 2 to 3 years. Can you restructure it? Is there that option? Or can they just call the debt, which means call the asset, now you're out and you've lost 100%. Crowdfunding, Reg A offerings, the great companies called Start Engine, love them. I have one company, they're just jamming, creating tons of money. It allows the public that's not accredited to invest in your project. So it's a faster way to raise capital in some terms. Now, it's faster because people could put in 500 to 1,000 or whatever your limits are. The problem is, if you're only going to raise 500 to 1,000 at a time and you need $1 million to go buy the right asset, well, you're going to be out there for a long time. Versus if you need $1 million, go find 10 people with 100,000 and go do a convertible note or bring them in as partners. There's a lot of ways to get to it. It's a numbers equation. So for those of you going, oh my gosh, this sounds so intense and so much, lean in and learn. This is not a risky proposition. There's no, the fear that you feel about it is really your lack of knowledge. So I'm inviting you to come learn, be part of our community, and really understand money. It's not taught. Schools are not going to teach it, nor do I think it should be taught there. Finance degrees and accounting degrees, my son just walked through getting one of each, and it was teaching him how to be a finance manager for a large corporation like a KPMG or, one of those, go to McKinsey. And on the accounting side, it's teaching him how to be a great CPA as a manager of other companies. This isn't about working for someone else. This is about leaning in and saying, what am I going to do for me and my family, and how am I going to make us $1 million? So if you have a couple 100,000, I promise you can get there, but you're going to have way more knowledge. So go to askloral.com, ASKLORAL, ask questions, make a request, and we'll be back with an answer right away. And if you want to talk to me personally, join the membership and come live, and I'd love to do a mini sequence makeover on you to make sure you are on track.